bold journalism.
But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
Exposing lawlessness.
Drew Hernandez, who is ideological.
Finding the truth.
And use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines. How's it going, guys? Drew Hernandez here, host of Frontlines. We don't have a show today because I'm actually on the ground in Sacramento, California for an anti-abortion protest at the Capitol in Sacramento. So I will be back with on-the-ground footage. You could probably watch what I'm posting right now. Go to my Twitter, Drew H Live, and you could see it all unfolding. But when we come back tomorrow, we'll have a full report on what happened at the protest. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Drew. What up, people? Welcome to TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. This is what we're covering today on TPUSA Live. First, holly freaking Luya. The mask mandate on airplanes has been voided. That is donezo. We're going to detail that and tell you what airlines are still holding on. But we also got libs of TikTok. They're being doxxed. They're good friends of ours. We're definitely going to stand with them as much as humanly possible. That and so much more in the Daily Briefing. Next, in another edition of the Conservative Spotlight, we chat with the most patriotic rapper in the game. That's what I think, at least. Topher's in the building. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then we discuss if equity is basically racism, and we're going to highlight Amazon and the military pushing promotion of certain races at the expense of others. After, the blue checks on Twitter are absolutely freaking out. The libs with the blue checks are going crazy about the mask mandate being dropped. Stick around for their social media hysteria, followed by a live performance from the one, the only Topher here in the building for TPUSA Live. And one last thing. So the kids would say, it's going to be lit. TPUSA Live from HQ starts right now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, this is TPUSA Live.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to TPUSA Live. Once again, we're at TPUSA HQ, Phoenix, Arizona. Alex Clark, what up?
Hello, happy to be here.
I like the dress. It looks great.
Thank you very much. It's actually pro-life brand, Culture of Life, 1972.
Well, look at you, on brand today and always.
You know, I try.
And we're going to save the best for last. Don't you worry. We got MAGA Hulk Stephen. Yeah, no doubt that guy is a weapon. My goodness.
I try to be. I'm trying to be like this guy when I grow up. You understand me?
100% steel right there.
But we got a guy that's been #1 on the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
In the rapping charts here. Topher, welcome to TPUSA Live.
Where's that guy at?
Oh,
Where'd he go?
I mean, that's what they were telling me here. You know, is that correct?
So good to have you.
Yeah, what's up, John, everybody, Alex, and
Yeah.
MAGA Hulk, man. Thank y'all for the invite, man. It's been wonderful to kind of do my part of the conservative movement, you know?
Well, it's fun because I know we're going to get into this a little bit later in the conservative spotlight, but the fact that we have people like you using an art form to tell the truth, because I think a lot of times, too, like, you can jump into conversations. I'm like, all right, I'm going to just like hit you over the head with the truth, and it doesn't really hit like you think it should, but sometimes when you use your art form, it's able to like bridge some gaps and break some barriers, so I can't wait to get into that. But first off, the mask mandate on airplanes, it's donezo.
Let's go.
Later.
Let's go. Yes,
nah, 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 nah. Hey.
Goodbye.
That is all the singing you're getting from me today.
Wait, you guys, did either of you flew here today, right?
Yeah, yesterday, last night.
Okay, so last night then, the mask mandate had been lifted. Did you get to fly without a mask?
Yeah, I did. Well, they didn't announce it, but, you know.
Yeah. Who's going to say something?
Well, what are they going to do? Arrest me, then, you know. So I was like, I did my own thing. I have video of it. And when I got off the plane, funny enough, Channel 12 News here in Phoenix was there. And they interviewed me, so I ended up being on the local news about, you know, how I felt about the mask being up.
Oh my gosh!
But they didn't put my most important parts. They just said that it felt like Christmas, early Christmas presents. So.
Of course, yeah. They took out all the good stuff about like tyrannical government.
Yeah, while we celebrate something that should never been taken away in the first place. Yeah, that type of stuff. They won't put that on there.
Dang
Selectively
it, the fake news.
Selectively.
At least we will let you talk freely.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Man, I love that. And there was so many videos out there of people just like celebrating.
Yes.
There is a part of me that thinks like we're celebrating something that shouldn't even happen in the first place.
Yeah.
And then this all comes down to like one brave judge in Florida that decided to say this is unconstitutional, and it has never been constitutional whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yep, she's 35. She's a Trump-appointed judge, which is all very, very cool that someone so young did, made such an impactful decision. So that's really, really neat.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get into these basically libs of Twitter. I don't know if we can create an account like that. Like the blue checks were freaking out. Of
course.
And they were talking about, well, of course, like a Trump-appointed judge. It's just like, my goodness, these people just want control and they don't believe in real science.
No. Oh, they lost their way of virtue signaling to the rest of the world. I mean, for the longest time, the mask has been this brand. It's been the left's MAGA hat. You know what I'm saying? That's what the mask was. So now that they lost that and they lost its ability to virtue signal, now they're going to be called out for being the only ones wearing masks on these planes. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I can't wait to see this all unfold in the days to come.
And then as of last night, so it was American Airlines, Delta, Southwest, and United all announced that passengers no longer have to wear masks. But a couple other people, good friends of ours, were on a flight out to Nashville. We had Joe Bob and Isabel Brown.
Yes.
And I know we were in this contributor chat and we're like, I can't wait to see what happens here. They got a great video on the flight. Check out Isabel Brown's video.
I don't have to ask you to put your mask over your nose. Very. American Airlines has prioritized the health and safety of its team members and customers. Throughout the pandemic, it has supported the federal government's measures to slow the spread of COVID-19 in accordance with the Transportation Security Administration no longer enforcing the federal mask mandate. Face masks will no longer be required for our customers and team members at U.S. airports and on domestic flights. History in the making. Yay! Enjoy your flight.
Yeah, I love that the last part of that was like, it's finally over.
Yeah.
And I know Joe Bob was talking about yesterday when he was flying out here. So he flew out here, and then he's going out to Nashville. He's all over the place, and he was like, I can't wait for somebody to say something. Like,
They were ready.
Oh,
Here's this article.
I was ready.
Yeah.
I had my phone. Actually, I asked one of the attendants before I got on. I said, hey, they just rescinded it. Are you going to force it? She's like, well, unfortunately, until we get the... I said, don't worry about it.
I got this.
I got it right here.
That's right. You'll see me smiling when I walk
Exactly.
through.
Check out these pearly whites.
Also, too, we had flight attendant Stacy Laval that was on TPUSA last week, and she was talking about how it's just been a constant battle with flight attendants and passengers, and I think it's put a lot of flight attendants in some rough spots. Because there's some of them that obviously like the power, but there's plenty of them like Stacy that was like, I don't agree with this, but like, this is a part of keeping my job, and I got to enforce this, but I'm not going to push it on them too much. But this is what she had to say when she was on the show last week, in case you missed it.
There's been a lot of division amongst employees and within our airline and other airlines, and it's very frustrating because you have those that, like me, where I try not to enforce it as much as possible, but then you have those that want to enforce it constantly and incessantly, and the passengers don't like it.
Is that because they like power, or do they actually think it's doing something?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think she was just saying exactly what we're thinking. It's just a tough place for flight attendants to be there and say like, I don't want to do this, but this is what we have to do. And I know we were talking about on that show. It was like it was supposed to end on the 18th. Just go to the airport. Don't even wear a mask.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what they were planning on doing. And then look at that.
Well,
Boom,
and Uber announced that they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
going to be taking away the mandate that you
Yep.
have to wear a mask to ride in an Uber. But the New York City taxi
Yeah.
organization or whatever said, well, we are still going to make you wear masks. It's like, dude, you're already hurting because of Uber and Lyft.
truth.
Like, nobody is taking yellow taxis in New York City anymore. And now you're going to say, like, well, we're still going to make you wear a mask. Like, be my guest, dude. But you are
Enjoy.
just burying your own grave. You're digging your own grave.
Exactly.
I think it's because of what MAGA said earlier was, man, it's the MAGA hat of the deal. So it's like, guys, we still support this.
Yes.
So if you want an organization
Yes.
or business is going to support it, come give us your service. So I think that's what it's for.
The virtue signal.
And then also Stacey had a statement that we're going to show you on the screen right now to reacting to exactly what we just saw with voiding the mask mandates. I'm elated and extremely grateful to the Honorable Catherine Kimball for protecting and honoring the rights of Americans who utilize public transportation. It's refreshing to be able to see and connect with our passengers once again and to engage in conversation, laugh with, and have that human connection that was stripped away. Most importantly, though, the skies are immediately and immensely safer, and all those who fought to preserve airline safety should be commended. Exactly. I'd love to see it.
I like
Stacey,
that.
That's great. I know she's been put in such a tough position too, because she thought on Monday she was going to show up potentially, not wear a mask with other flight attendants, with other pilots, and potentially lose her job.
Oh, were they planning a protest?
Yeah. So it's incredible to see that. And then quickly too, before we head into a quick little break, and then we do the conservative spotlight with our good friend Topher here, is Libs of TikTok. The creator of that actually just got doxxed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And I know the creator of Libs of TikTok has been on Fox, been on Tucker. I know we
But
talked
always
about
like a voice.
That's
it's
it.
a voice.
Exactly.
She does not share her identity. She just talks on the phone when she goes on the news.
And then there's a Washington Post internet culture reporter, Taylor Lorenz, that basically went around to her family's homes too, and then sent messages that said you were basically being hateful to the LGBTQ plus alphabet people community. She didn't say alphabet community. I'll put that in there. And then it's something like this, like Libs of TikTok shares and exposes the absolute radicalness of the left. But
Well, the Taylor Lorenz, let me tell you some receipts on Taylor Lorenz. This chick is a sociopath. She is absolutely insane. A couple weeks ago, she was on TV and she was crying, talking about how like people shouldn't be doxing on the internet and being mean and bullying her because of the hate comments that she gets. A couple weeks later, what does she go out and do? She's antagonizing, she's antagonizing family members of the girl that created Libs of TikTok. And this girl also has a pattern of doing this to anyone who has political views that she doesn't like. She did this to Claudia and Jackie Oshry, the co-hosts of the Morning Toast podcast. Their mom is a very famous, controversial conservative activist, Pamela Geller. She did it to them. She's done it to multiple other people who Tucker Carlson has had on as a guest to talk about how crazy unhinged this reporter is. And it's crazy to me how she is defended by the left for doing this. There is nothing that needs to be exposed about Libs of TikTok. Her identity doesn't matter. She also wrote in the article that she's an Orthodox Jew. I don't know what that has to do with anything. The thing is Libs of TikTok, all she does is repurposes videos that are posted for public on TikTok. All she is doing is gathering all of those videos up, putting them in one place so that people can watch and laugh. And that is it. If they don't want people to laugh at their video, don't post it in the first place.
yeah, there's no commentary. It's not like people like us that we're going to take some of those. We'll have commentary on top of something. PragerU does that. Daily Wire does it. A bunch of influencers, contributors do that, but her, it's just like, that's just there.
Yeah, she just serves it up.
And that's the thing I didn't understand about when she got suspended is all I did was just repost. It's not that I added any commentary like you were saying. It's not like I put any type of little extras on. No, I just said, here, take it from here, put it here. Oh, now I'm suspended for hateful conduct and all this other type of. This is where we're at. This is so ridiculous. But it's really sad that she got doxxed because she always, when she went on, she was just on Tucker Carlson. And like you said, it's just the voice, right? For a reason. And here we are in this culture getting doxxed for just spreading the truth and spreading what they're already putting out. That's what's ridiculous. I can't believe it.
I just want to say, Taylor Lorenz, I'm still waiting on my interview. Like, real talk. During the 2020 election, they did a bunch of articles about conservatives on TikTok. And she did something negative against ours. So I said, so if you want to do something, why not come talk to a black person about what's going on in America? She said, sure, I will. So we've been trying to set it up, and she just completely ghosted me because she knew she really was going to have a conversation with a black conservative.
She's such a coward. This girl is such a coward, spineless, just an evil, hateful person. That's what it is.
And if you're not following Libs at TikTok already, do it now. And I'm not going to say her name, too. I know we have that like in the notes, too. I'm not going to do that.
That's right.
At all. But, hey, we got friends of the show. Jon Crist is coming to Phoenix next week. Jon's going to be joining us on TPUSA Live on April 25th to crack some jokes and definitely provide some off-the-wall commentary. I'll put it like that. If you want to meet Jon Crist or get some more of him, he'll be on his Fresh Cuts comedy tour at the Orpheum Theater in Phoenix on April 24th. Buy tickets now at johncristcomedy.com. There are limited tickets available, so be sure to get those before they sell out. That's going to be hilarious. That's going to be a lot of fun. I know we chatted with him when we were at America Fest, and I don't know if you guys knew this or not. Sorry that we have to recount this again. But I found out like literally seconds before we were about to chat that you guys went on a date. And then I felt like the third wheel for this like 15, 20-minute interview, and it was hilarious. It was, sorry.
Yeah, no, it was super funny, and yeah, him and I had gone out a couple times a few years ago, but now we're just friends.
Okay. But he didn't know the
got
deets.
like cinnamon
No,
rolls.
John didn't know the details. This John didn't know the details.
Oh boy.
Not at all. I was just like, man, this is juicy. Like, I got the conservative tea,
It was
right?
the conservative. No one was expecting that, but that's all right.
But we were talking about the conservative spotlight. We got Topher here, and I feel like the way you utilize your platform, I was talking about earlier, is you have this art form that's able to bridge some gaps and break some barriers and tell a story better than people could just going up and giving a speech or something, or just a little reel that you'd see on TikTok. And it's been really well received, and you're able to use your talent in a way that's able to make a big difference.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And like I said, I've been doing music since I was 10, so I've always wanted to be an artist, but I never thought I would be in this position. Yeah. But, you know, that's why I tell people I didn't get into politics. Politics got into me.
Ooh,
right? You know,
Yeah.
So I was minding my business, trying to do my things, and I was like, man, these people are making some really poor decisions for this country. And then I'm seeing everybody else just kind of going along with it, and I was like, no, we got to do something about this. So I actually started on TikTok. I became one of the biggest conservative TikTokers on TikTok, and I inspired a lot of other people to come up and speak about their beliefs and stuff. And I said, they kept banning me there, right?
Of course.
You know how that goes. They suppress you, shadow ban you. So I was like, I can't really do that. Let me try to put it into music, because it's a little bit harder to censor music, right? Yeah. So I said, let me start putting that into music, and it's just taken off. As a matter of fact, my biggest song was The Patriot. Yep. And the reason why I blew up is because I was going to different rallies, because I'm one of those people like, stop taking people's opinion, go find out for yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
What a concept, right?
That's it.
I mean, if there's a bunch of white supremacists at a Trump rally, it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard to walk in and hear, you know, something right off the bat.
Yeah, that's
no,
right.
I walked in and got free meals. I was like, what is going on? You know, as King Face used to say, rest in peace, but if that's racism, I like that racism.
Yeah, like, almost more of that.
give me more of that racism. And so, no, it was really good learning and seeing what I can do and just help the next generation, because politics is downstream from culture. So if we're not impacting culture, and hip hop just happens to be the biggest music genre right now, then yeah, we're gonna lose that fight.
Do you feel like people are afraid to do what you're doing, or you don't feel like they have the talent to be able to do what you do, to articulate these kind of thoughts into an art form? What do you think?
A little mix of both, because you know you can't just go up and freestyle these type of things. Like, because even when I was doing my TikTok videos, it requires you going to research, because you want to make sure you're telling the truth and you know what you're talking about. So if I put a song out, I know it's gonna be on repeat, and if I lie, you guys are not gonna play it. It's just not gonna be played. It's like this is just lying, and so that's why even now the Patriot, everything, whatever, it's always articulated to a point where it reaches. It's gonna make you think on a higher plane. Yep. You're not just gonna be able to be drinking lean and what most rappers do, and just walk in the studio, yo.
We were thinking about putting that in the cup, but Charlie said no.
It's not. Dang, Charlie, man.
You're messing things up.
We just want to have some fun, Charlie.
Just a little bit, man. You got to be so conservative. But yeah, it's important, man. So I actually recently, B.O.B. made a song called "Are You Sure?" Or like "Are You Sure?" is the name of the song, and it's really talking about the same things we talk about.
Really?
Like what?
Like vaccine, everything, government, all of it.
When did that come out?
Recently, I think 2 months ago, maybe 1 month ago. But that's why I was like, I haven't heard from B.O.B. in a while. It's because he's outspoken, and what they do is,
What? This is juicy.
Yeah,
This is
I call this conservative, like pop culture gossip.
Right. I was blown away, because like he's a big name in hip hop. I mean, I was like, yeah, people are speaking out, but when others see that happen to someone like him, they don't want that to happen to them. It's like, no, man, I want my money, I want my chicks, I want this. So they follow along. They do the same thing. I've never been a follower. You know,
Can be.
It's never been.
You have to be a trailblazer, and that's what I love about you, is the fact that you are a trailblazer. I mean, especially when it comes to politics. I mean, it's so important to be able to put out a good message. That's one thing I love about the things that you do. You know, it's you give a good message on top of actual substance. right? We see these other rappers that get out there, they talk about all this type of foolishness that is really tearing apart society, and especially within the black community. There's a lot of negativity that's trying to, with these songs, they're absolutely, the violence in the songs, the promiscuity in these songs, all this other type of foolishness, and you're putting out songs that I love that song that you did about King James. That's, and you're talking about real issues, about real things that's affecting the black community and the communities at large. So I love what you do, but have you ever received any type of negative backlash, or as I always say, blacklash?
That could be the title of another song.
That should be, exactly.
Blacklash.
Because there's a lot of backlash that you get as a black conservative putting out good bars, right, and putting out good music. Have you ever received some of that?
Always, almost every time. But I actually have more people coming around now because they see the success. They see that I'm still able to speak, be true to myself. I don't have to go to the club late at night, right? I always tell people, like, I'm not even doing performances, like, because we don't get to go on the same tour or the same bills as some of these bigger artists. We would never get a Coachella invite, so that's why I was like, I sit back and I was like, man, I think I've done what most artists would call a success. I've reached that plateau, like, I'm here.
Yeah.
But as far as the backlash, man, the Patriot got banned. It got banned. It has no. I didn't even promote any party. I was just like, this is a song about the people. And because of my time in the military, I was like, I'm coming from a patriotic, the true definition. Someone that fervently loves the country and is willing to defend it from foreign and domestic terrorists or whoever. That's pretty much it. So that was the song was based on, but that got banned for 2 weeks until we got it to another distributor. Recently, Let's Go Brandon lyrics. Would not need to say, F. Donald Trump is still on Genius.com.
Of course, exactly.
Like cuss words and everything, but Let's Go Brandon, the only 2 clean versions was mine and Bryson Gray's. Both of those have been banned from Genius lyrics, and I'm just like, how is this a thing?
Did they reach out to you individually, tell you that?
No.
Or it's just like you just end up finding out?
Just end up finding
that's just
out.
another cowardly thing too.
That's it.
Like you see all these journalists out here, they won't actually sit down and have conversations. They're going to take your lyrics down. They're not going to let you know. They're going to take your podcast down.
Yeah,
that's
such
like
a banger too.
Right? Right.
Yeah. That sucks.
It's unbelievable. I mean, but that's what they do. I mean, they can't handle the truth getting out there. Like you said, F. Donald Trump, that's still being blasted and that's still being promoted. But Let's Go Brandon, which is, if you really get into the weeds of it, I didn't say anybody's name, right? I didn't say that particular person's name that I'm referencing, but it's still getting banned. And it's just the idea that they're trying to shut down conservative artists across the board if you speak the truth. Yeah. And that's what you're doing.
So you just got to keep fighting back, man. That's why I said we got to come together and work with, Turning Point or PragerU and those type of facilities. Is hey guys, you have the information people need. Yeah. Allow us to get that information to the people. Yes. That's how we're gonna work in tangent. And then next thing you know, we'll look at a whole different United States in the next 10 years.
Come on now.
Yep. So that's the ultimate game plan, I think.
Talk about your time in the military, because you were a crypto logic language analyst. Yeah. Hopefully I'm saying that right. You're talking about how you were fluent in Hebrew at one point.
What?
Right?
Yeah, it was name of Yod, Smee Shai, little stump in the dumb, been a swing very hot like a cockaham.
Is this a rap?
Hey, I actually did.
You understood.
Whoa. So that's another thing. I was so fluent that they actually got me to rap for our language day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, fantastic.
So I was probably the first artist to ever rap in our language that we was learning at the time. But it was pretty historic as far as my pivot in my career. Once I saw that I could get thousands of people out of their chair and they didn't understand a word I said, I was like, I'm good now.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Imagine if they knew what I was saying, right? But it was really good. I got out of Mississippi for the first time in my life. Went to California for a year, went to Deal Live. Monterey is very cold, very different. It was kind of like a culture shock because I went from Mississippi is like 42%, 44% black, the whole state. Probably the largest demographic of black people you'll find in any state. So when I went to Monterey, it's probably like none. I probably like I probably came that point.
I would concur with that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that look like me there. I'll tell you that for sure. Because I grew up pretty close to that area. And it's like Monterey, and that just a little like seaside area.
See, the only thing I know about that, isn't that kind of where Big Little Lies is based off of
Yeah,
that HBO
right
show?
there,
Okay, I know. Yeah, that is a very wide area.
Yeah. So does not look like Mississippi. I'll tell you that for sure.
Not at all.
So it was a culture shock, right?
Yes.
To say the least. But it was a good culture shock. It's like, man, I get to experience something I've never experienced before. The water's stupid cold, so it's definitely not like Mississippi at all.
You were telling me that funny story last night. We were just kind of like, I jumped in. I'm like, this is freezing. What is this about? Like, I want to jump in. And I was just like, Topher, this is not Hawaii. I don't care if you put a wetsuit on. You are still going to be freezing.
Quite chilly.
So I went there. I worked for NSA for the next 5 years. I was just on there transcribing stuff, man, and it was fun. Boring, but fun, right? Because it's like, man, I didn't expect a 21-year-old kid to have this much power.
No, that is really impressive.
To really go do that type of stuff. But when it was over with, I said, man, I can't really be on social media like I want to, and I want to continue to do my music. So I literally got out the military to pursue music. People looked at me like I was crazy, but I said, man, faith is crazy.
Yep.
Faith looks crazy. So I was like, I don't know what you guys see, but I know what God has told me, and I know what he's put in me. And Proverbs 18:16 says, your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. So I was like, that's what I've been saying. And now I'm here.
Yeah.
That's
in front of you guys. So, it manifested.
Well, I'm glad that you heard that call and actually took action. Because there's plenty of people that are just like, kind of seems like the right thing to do, Lord, but like maybe I'll do that in like a year. Like there's a couple things I want to do first, and then I'll head on out there.
Yeah.
But the fact that you received that call and made action on that, but faith's been a huge part of your journey.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I've listened to Christian hip hop for a long time,
Right.
And it's a bummer for me to see people like Lecrae that just really dive into the woke culture, not only in the church but just of the world. You got people like KB, Trip Lee. Everybody that's part of the 116 clique, Andy Mineo, a lot of people that potentially people have heard about when they're watching the show. And that's what bummed me out, because I'm like, this is the music I wanted to listen to at the gym. I was sick of the nonsense that felt like, I had like a transformation in my heart that I'm like, I don't even want to listen to these lyrics anymore from mainstream rappers anymore. But you're standing firm on who you are in Christ.
Yeah, it's a battle, right? Because sometimes you do want those opportunities like some of the bigger artists, but you have to rationalize and say, you may never get a Grammy, Topher. You just won't ever get that invite, even though it's something that you wanted so bad growing up, and you're just as talented, and you have some really great music. But that's just not the reward. The reward comes from our Father in heaven. So I'd rather have that reward. Now I got connections that never would have happened if it wasn't for my faith and and just my consistency with my music. So
perspective check.
Yes, indeed. So obviously you're an independent artist, right?
Correct.
How have you been moving in that arena as opposed to those who sign and all that? What would you recommend to those who are up and coming?
It's hard work.
Yeah.
Like anything, building anything from scratch is hard work. So if you're gonna do it, you have to approach it from not a management position, but a CEO. Because you're not running, you're running a company. So if you don't understand marketing, if you don't understand branding, if you don't understand what it means to have a perfect mix, how the industry works, right? You're just gonna be lost. You're just gonna be making music and you're not gonna go anywhere. And that's kind of how I was for a little bit until I understood. Once I understood and got more educated and got with a team.
There you go.
Team is the most important thing. So shout out to my boys, the Marine rapper, D-Cure, Space Force. Yeah, see.
Hey, let's go.
Space Force, man, the whole gang, we just kind of been educating and just doing our parts. And that's why we're able to do the things we are today. So, I would say do it, but know that it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to just get that check and sign your life over and just do what they tell you to do.
Puppet.
But you take away a lot of that control. And that's why I can work with who I want to work with. I can say what I want to say. I can go where I want to go. And if I don't want to do nothing, it's a no. That's it. So it's a good lifestyle to me.
I feel it.
It's doing pretty well.
I think we're doing all right.
Doing well. We appreciate it. It's definitely an honor to have you here. And like everybody too, you're tuning in right now. Don't go anywhere, because at the end of the show, this guy's gonna perform a couple of those songs that he's talked about. Top Billboard chart song right there. So don't go anywhere. Where can people follow you to make sure? Because you got people deleting your lyrics. You got people trying to take your music off YouTube, and there's big tech censorship. Where can they follow you and make sure they get your music?
Yeah, just go to tophertown.com, TOPHERTOWN.com. You can find all my social media there. Or for the most part, I think I'm big enough now of a celebrity to where you can just Google.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed.
Just
Quick
Google
search.
Topher. And it should pull up everything for everybody, man. And connect on that.
Mama, I made it.
Mama, I made it.
Let's go. We're going to have a quick little ad from our friends at Patriot Mobile. Then we're going to be back talking about how equity seems to be the new racism. Stick around.
Yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Abortion, I salute you! Women, if you need an abortion, get one! You said police defund!
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to the next generation. Activate freedom. Join Patriot Mobile.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Alex Clark, TPUSA contributor, another TPUSA contributor, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis. We got Topher, the most patriotic rapper in the game.
That's right.
That's what I'm going to call you. And I'm Jon Root. How the heck are you? All right, so equity. We've all heard that. It went from so much growing up. I feel like a lot of us, we heard this equality. Everybody wants equality here. We want just equal opportunity for everyone. And then now it's turned into this equity conversation where there needs to be an equal outcome.
Yeah.
And this equity nonsense has been shoved down our throats on college campuses, in woke corporations. So you're seeing places like Amazon. They just did a racial audit.
Yeah.
They just
What is that, by the way? Because I heard about that. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Oh, I'm going to tell you, Alex. Get a load of this. Independent racial equity audit. They're joining companies like Citigroup and Tyson Foods. And a part of the audit is an analysis of companies to see whether their business causes or perpetuates racism. And then we're going to show you the auditor on the screen right now. It's former AG Loretta Lynch. And the review will measure any desperate racial impacts on Amazon US's hourly employees resulting from policies, programs, or practices. And they cited their efforts such as funding historically black colleges and universities, running leadership programs for underrepresented minorities, and channeling tens of millions of dollars to help close the racial wealth divide. And then they also said, I want to get your take on this, both of you guys here. Amazon says they want to stop the race inequality gap in their company specifically.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever. Okay, first and foremost, if say me and John are working at the same company, he's working more hours, right? He's putting in a grade A effort. I'm sitting on my behind, and I'm not working that many hours. I'm not going to get paid as much as this man. But according to this company, they're going to say, hey, Stephen doesn't make as much money as this individual here. It must be racism, right? Instead of meritocracy, he's working harder, you get what you deserve, or you get what you earn or whatever. It's all about what it is that I'm not getting because of the color of my skin, and they base everything on the color of skin as opposed to the content of the character. Obviously, his character is a better character because he's working harder, right? But they're not taking that into consideration. Everything is about race at the end of the day, and I can't stand it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, since the feminist movement was hijacked, they had to find something else to push, and that became race, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why now it used to be the gender pay gap, now it's race pay gap.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's ever talking about that anymore. I feel like we debunked that. They're like, we got to move on to something else.
Exactly.
Back to the drawing board. Race.
Let's go to that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk to Bezos.
Until that gets debunked, with more and more people like us coming out and showing their hard work. I always tell people, man, success is impartial.
Yeah.
Like, there are rules to success. Anybody that follows it will be there. You know what I'm saying? But people don't want to say that because it's like, well, because you black, you got a couple of hurdles. Man, I was thinking about something. I said, before the Department of Education, right? I know this is not the same thing, but Martin Luther King graduated at 15 from high school and went on, graduated around 18 from college. I was like, but they would say back then that they didn't have as many resources as the white schools, wouldn't they? But he came on to be the most prolific speaker ever. of all time, right?
And I think about Oprah Winfrey.
It's just like
going down the line.
They didn't have all the resources that they're saying we need to have.
Right.
So that tells me it's not about the resources. It's about those values and what you're imparting on those children. And so I said the reason why I'm here today is because I had some teachers that pulled me aside early and said, hey, you got something on you that those other people don't have. So I'm correcting you because I see a future in you. I see a leader in you. At the time, of course, it sucked because you're like, man, I just want to clown out. I want to wild out with my boys. You know what I'm saying?
I feel it like that.
I just want to wild out. But, you know, shout out to my teacher, Miss Jo Ray. She was awesome. But, yeah, she pulled me to the side one day. She told me that, and it's always stuck with me. And I said, man, because of, once again, it's your mindset. So we get to change that mindset. And this whole racism thing, this wage gap, and I think you said earlier, or I think it goes into the military, right? They're trying to find out in the military?
Yeah, so that's what's going on with the Department of Defense right now. They love equity. They just got a new equity report. They're aiming to equalize outcomes for employees and partners across racial, sexual, and gender lines, as they're saying here. They explained it a series of procedural changes to better align with the White House's demand for equity. So obviously from the top down, they're trying to make sure that they're going full woke. So AKA, they want to have men take women's jobs, and they'll be 4-star admirals, and they're going to do whatever they can for the transgender community. And once again, too, it's like Amazon, they're putting race, some sort of, here's the hierarchy here, at the expense of other races. And then here, it's like transgenders at the expense of men and women. And it's like, it's not a meritocracy anymore at all. It has no idea with like schooling, experience, nothing.
You know what's weird is that they're making this a focus and like they're getting a lot of praise for this from the left, but Amazon workers have been saying for a long time that they're treated really bad there, that their hours are awful, the working conditions are awful, but I guess we're moving on from that and now moving on to equity. But you know, big corporations like that, like Walmart or Amazon, these all have a paper trail, you know, and the rumor mill is flowing that they're terrible places to work. But I guess as long as they're, you know, propping up Black Lives Matter or whatever, then I guess it doesn't matter.
But the funny thing is going to be, we talk about this right now. They're going to spend millions of dollars on this, and then you know what's going to happen? A year, few months, maybe a couple. You're not going to hear anything.
Yeah, it'll go away.
Because they're going to find out and be like, okay, so.
Well, I just want to know.
It's not what we thought.
So my buddy did work for Amazon, and he actually got injured. A box fell on his head, and for racial equity, they want to pay him $5,000 for all his. It has changed his life completely. He has permanent vertigo and everything else. They won't do nothing else for him.
Whoa.
Really?
Well, he should bring up his story again
you know,
publicly
racial equity,
and ask about, well, so what about me? You know?
Let's talk about equity now.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You know,
$5,000
yeah,
for
that's what the lawyers got together and said, we'll give you $5,000.
That's terrible.
I mean, of course, when you start talking about the things you can't do anymore, it's very impactful.
Yeah.
Like whether it got to do with your marriage, because you know you can't stand up, can't do certain things. But yeah, the guys over a year and a half now, that's all they wanted to do. I was like, yeah, racial equality, equity, or
about that.
Yeah.
How far is $5,000 going to get? Well, that's a couple gallons of gas right now.
Exactly. Especially if you live in California. Goodness gracious.
Final take on this one then. With a military background, what do you think about this specifically? Because right now we have enemies that are laughing at us. It's like your main focus here, while we got other countries that are shooting off missiles and they're empowering their army, and then you have like Russia that has like some of the most badass military commercials I've ever seen. It's like there's terrifying stuff, and then here it's just like equity, yay! Go get them!
I have two moms.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Commercial.
I have two moms. I was like, what they got to do anything?
Don't shoot me, I got two moms.
Right, like it does nothing. Right, once again, it takes you. We're getting carried away, off track. When I was in the military, like I said, it should be based on meritocracy, because what you do matters, and what you can and cannot do matters. Because it's not just you, oh, my bad, I messed up, get a eraser and do it over. It's, no, that person's dead. You know, or if you're on a battlefield and because you know, I think I'm a man, but you're not really a man, and you go out there and try to drag a 250-pound guy with a rucksack, 40-pound rucksack, you're just not gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So it matters, and it's not that we're trying to say, you know, we don't want you to be a part of it. Just be realistic with it. Like don't dumb down the quality of our service just so you guys can feel good.
That's it.
And feel good about you know, either sticking it to the man or standing up for somebody.
And I'm sure there's aspects of like just being around the military, you see these cyber attacks, stuff that is not talked about enough. We're obviously going to see big fighter jets, we're going to see missiles go off, but like the cyber attack that's going on, they don't care who's behind that keyboard or behind that computer. They have no idea what you look like, what your race is, whether you identify as a she, they, puppet, unicorn. Like, they're just like, all right, we're going to try to get in here and infiltrate the system.
That's it.
I don't care who's behind it.
Yeah.
It's crazy talk. But hey, we want to give you a heads up that TPUSA's fearless leader, Charlie Kirk, is going to be on Trinity Broadcast Network show Praise on Thursday, April 21st. You can watch the episode at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. That's 5 p.m. Pacific for everybody keeping track of that. Only on the world's largest TV network. That's Christian, TBN. This conversation between Charlie and host Tom Newman will focus on gender and identity. You don't want to miss it. Once again, that's this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on TBN. Once again, people, the mask mandates later. So long.
Bye-bye.
Not thanks for the memories.
Definitely not.
They weren't so good.
No.
But the Lib Blue Checkmark Brigade on Twitter freaked out. They lost their mind. So Clay Travis does a great job on his show with Buck Sexton, another conservative commentator out there, and said, hey, I want you guys to find some of the biggest libs that have blue checks on Twitter. Screenshot it or put a link in this thread, and we have some of them right here. It's absolutely glorious because over the past 24 hours, they've lost their mind.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't even know what to do. So Clay Travis, we're going to show that tweet right now, and then this is what that thread looked like. I'm taking great pleasure reading the left-wing blue checkmark authoritarians losing their minds over the mask mandate on airplanes ending. Their tears are glorious. So right there, quote tweeted it, was saying like, hey, put your best ones below. We're going to start with this one. Massachusetts State Representative Lindsay Saboza. Good Lord. Today, a federal judge called it overreach for U.S. health officials to require masks on airplanes and other public transit. And no matter how you feel about masks, you should be really, really concerned that the courts are effectively taking away power from the federal government. I want authoritarianism, okay?
I'm not feeling I need more tears.
I need more tears, yeah, I need that.
She just straight up admitted it.
Yes!
I mean, great, I guess. I hope they use that tweet in future elections. Like, this is what the left wants. They're like, oh, the government isn't powerful enough. Like,
we need to be more stronger, more powerful, more mandates.
Yeah.
Lord Fauci, tell me what to do today. tell me what to do. Oh man, this is just glorious. It keeps getting better here, Alex Clark. So this one, ER physician and editor-in-chief of MedPage Today, Jeremy Faust. Hi United, what about my tickets for me and my wife who's pregnant and our unvaccinated 4-year-old? Oh my God, I assumed you would continue to have a mask mandate. Now you cancel it and we'll have to board our return flight under your new no mask required policy? Thanks so much.
He is free to wear a mask. These people are free to wear them if they want. But also, I don't understand this. Like, my 4-year-old has to go without a mask? It is a minuscule, microscopic amount of kids, that COVID really affects. I just...
Thank you.
That's sad to me.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people, I think I had someone jump into my comment section talking about, well, is it really fair that mid-flight they rescinded this mask order and now everyone take off what about people like us or immunocompromised or this and that? Well, you believe in the mask, right? Wear your mask.
Exactly.
And the triple vax and the 14 boosters that you got. So you don't trust those?
Are you not well protected or are you? Answer that question for yourself.
And if you don't feel protected, you got to admit that you've been lied to.
Right. Yeah, it's just hilarious.
We also went 2.5 years being forced to play by their rules. Yes. So now, having to wear masks even though we didn't want to. So they can be around people that don't want to wear masks even though they do want them to. They can, they can suck it up a little bit. We've had to do it for 2.5 years.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
All right, here we go. A reporter from New York Times, Maggie Astor. This is what she had to say. I can't stop thinking about people who may have chosen to book and board this flight based on a personal risk assessment that involved everyone being masked. And then mid-flight, like you guys just brought up, when it was physically impossible to leave, they wouldn't let us open the emergency door to get out. That element of their risk assessment was upended.
I need more tears. More tears.
We should have just.
Oh man,
It's unbelievable.
I would have walked up and hugged somebody if I knew if they was freaking out.
They're there.
Little COVID comfort right here.
Right here. Oh, by the way, I'm not vaxxed.
Hold it real tight.
Some of this.
But you know, like, okay, here's the thing. So she's saying everyone boarded this flight thinking that everyone's going to be masked for you to, you know, take away the mask mandate in the middle flight. That's so horrible to those people. Yeah. What does she think, like, when people take their mask down to have a snack or take a drink of something? There's no scientific evidence that says when your mask is you know, pulled down for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, COVID doesn't spread, but only when it's down longer. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That
You're
doesn't
such
make
a
any
science
sense.
denier, Alex. I can't believe you.
Well, it's the same sense that they had where it's like, okay, when you go into a restaurant, you got to wear your mask. But when you sit down, you don't have to wear the mask anymore because COVID doesn't get you when you're sitting down. It only gets you when you're standing up and walking around.
We had Brian Urlacher, Hall of Fame linebacker, on Breakaway this last Sunday, and he was talking about that where it's like, you didn't know from like 6'4" and above, that's where COVID is. And then once you get below that line, I was just like, yeah, you and I are both screwed. No, but when you start sitting down, it's like, you're good.
You're okay.
I never understood that because I know some short people. I mean, I may be, so I'm pretty tall. Pretty tall for Mississippi. But yeah, so it's not much difference. Yeah. You know, when you sit down from when you're walking. So
good point.
Well, people should thank people like me because I'm catching all the COVID up here before it falls down to everybody else.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
Good job, John.
Hey,
appreciate you.
You're welcome, America.
You're doing the Lord's work.
No worries. This one is a public health and climate justice and science communication expert. This is Dr. Lucky Tran. This is what they had to say. I don't know how many times we need to say this, but the transport mask mandate doesn't just apply to planes. It applies to buses and trains too, which it should end as well.
Yes.
Dr. Lucky. Millions who rely on buses and trains to get to work and access essential services every day will now be put at much greater risk. Doctor, what science do you have to back this up again?
None. Absolutely. Well, I think in New York, I think you were saying that earlier, that they're still doing for some of the public transportation as far as like the subways and whatnot, that they were still requiring you to wear masks. You know, again, where is the science? Where was the science in the first place? That's my question.
I thought the science was out the window when you saw states that was open like Florida having less rates than people that was super closed like California. So I figured that at some point people was like, you know what, this ain't adding up, you know.
But Fauci didn't say. Dr. Fauci didn't say that it was okay. So you're obviously wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm obviously wrong. We're all wrong, okay? Because Dr. Fauci, Lord Fauci, didn't say so.
But look at the contradiction here, because this doctor is saying, well, we really care about the workers. What about the workers who are being forced to work somewhere that's not requiring masks? There are people that are on low income that have to take buses to work or trains to work, and this mass, transportation that doesn't require masks anymore. Where were you caring about the workers when we had lockdowns? Where were you caring about the workers when you require people to get a vaccine that they didn't want to get? This is such.
Checkmate.
This is just. It's virtue signaling at its finest. It's fake philanthropy.
Yes.
And then, of course, with a situation like this, you can't go with getting rid of mask mandates without bringing up Trump.
Here we go.
It's
always his fault.
So we obviously do have like a Trump judge, but this is a senior writer at Slate, Mark Joseph Stern, absolutely losing it. Another Trump judge issues another nationwide injunction while pretending to be wary of its legality. Hard to overstate the brazen hypocrisy here.
A leftist talking about hypocrisy?
What is hypocrisy?
So basically just trying to say again that Trump just overreached again, and then he's still got his hand in everything because this is a Trump-appointed judge right here. Look, it's still just an arm of his crazy regime. That's what people want to feel.
It's not Trump that determined that that the mask mandate had to go. It was unconstitutional. The Constitution determined that the mask mandate had to go.
Call that a mic drop, ladies and gentlemen. Boom.
That's it.
Fire on that.
Take that, Byron. We got this last one for you. It says senior ethics fellow at Project on Government Oversight, also known as POGO, Walter Schaub. Oh, Walter. A thing has killed 1 million Americans in 2 years, and a federal judge stops the government from doing the one of the only two things that might stop the dying. The stupid people are winning.
The stupid people.
Well, okay, Walter. There's a thing in your house, usually in the bathroom. It's called a mirror.
Yeah,
look at that. And if you want to see
that.
stupid, that's that.
Where's the
There's
data
unity.
that shows the masks have prevented people from dying? There's no data about that.
Well, didn't CNN's medical advisor or analyst or whatever, Leanne Wynn, say that it was face decorations, basically, that masks, all they are is face decorations? Well,
it's been a tyrannical masquerade party for the past 2.5 years. That's all it's been. Nothing to do with science. And then when the science finally comes out, it's like, no. Once again, too, like Alex said, you can wear a mask. Yeah, if you want to wear a mask, like that's what it should have been. Like if you decide that like you feel safer that way, I know I've brought that up on the show before. I asked somebody at my apartment complex and I asked somebody at the gym why they still wear a mask. And I did it in a respectful way, not like, all right, idiot, what are you doing? It's like, no, I was like, I actually do want to understand why you're still wearing this. And a lot of people they just feel safer. It doesn't really work. There's no science or data behind it.
Yeah, because they're just brainwashed. They're just told it makes you a better person. They're told that it works. They haven't even looked into if it does or not. And when they are told that it doesn't, they don't want to hear it. They ignore it.
Right. Oh, this is insanity, but you know what's going to be good? This guy performing in just a hot second. It's going to be great. We're going to be back in just a few minutes, and he's going to perform a couple songs. Don't worry, you don't have to hear me sing or dance. It's going to be great. The whole focus is on Topher, but we have a quick message from our friends at Freedom Square, and then we'll be back with Topher.
All right, guys, you have signed up, right? You've joined freedomsquare.com. If you haven't, why not? This should have happened a decade ago. How did somebody not think of this earlier? If you're a business owner, we have a business directory to promote your business to patriots across the nation. So if you want to buy American, if you want to sell American, we have a business directory. Whatever it is, go now.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
This is your brain. This is your brain on socialism. Any questions?
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Steigman. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona. El socialismo no funciona.
You have to ask the question, how is the most heavily funded tribe have the poorest population?
Listen to me. My country is very because everything problem here. Don't have petroleum for bus and Cuban, for car, for life, for nothing.
And it sucks. Socialism sucks. There's no other way you can describe it.
All right, guys, you have signed up, right? You've joined freedomsquare.com. If you haven't, why not? This should have happened a decade ago. How did somebody not think of this earlier? If you're a business owner, we have a business directory to promote your business to patriots across the nation. So if you want to buy American, if you want to sell American, we have a business directory. Whatever it is, go now.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TPUSA Live. It's time for a live performance from our good buddy right here, the most patriotic rapper in the game, Topher. Jen Psaki, you might like this one.
I can circle back if there's more I can share with you. I'll circle back with you if there's more to convey. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back with you. I'm happy to circle back with you. I can circle back. I'll have to.
It's pretty obvious we all know you're pretending. You have no actual facts for the lies that you're defending. Conservatives not the only ones who find it condescending. The real reason you circle back is cause you know it's never ending. Round and round and round you go, dancing like a puppet show. Just a simple yes or no. Thousands watching wanna know the truth. I guess there's too much to ask. Like why Biden was at the Lincoln Memorial without a mask, huh? Can't believe what I'm seeing now. Got everyone thinking.
Listen. Only just I know the words right. Come on. We'll circle back with you.
Circle back.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Circle back.
I'm happy to circle back.
Circle back. Only just in the beginning, we tried giving you a chance, but it seems intimidating if reporters start raising hands. Is it better if we send you the questions far in advance? Honestly, all we really want is answers about your mans. Does the fence around the Capitol means it's for securing borders? With Harry Tubman on the 20, who can we expect on quarters? If Trump decided to sign this many executive orders, will you consider him a dictator or truly support it? We wanna know. Can't believe what I'm seeing now. Got everyone thinking now.
Come on.
Just how
much you get paid, Saki?
Only just to hear you say.
We'll circle back with you.
Circle back.
Everybody in the room, come on. With you.
Circle back.
Hey,
one more time, we got it. Circle back. Only just I just know it's now. Listen. Alright, Jinsaki, you're the blunt of the joke. But this message for anybody I see still fake woke. We see the strings of the vision that you all constantly stroke. And the fist full of propaganda you shove down our throats. Boy, I miss the days when we used to have Katie Mack. When they rapid fire questions, she would counterattack. How does it feel to know that we all caught on to the act? Let me guess.
But I will have to circle back with you on that as well.
Circle back. Can't believe what I'm seeing. Come on. Now.
Put your hands up like this, man. We gonna rock it. Yeah. Everybody at home tuning in. Come on, let's go. Y'all already know the words, so we're together ready.
We'll circle back with you. Circle back.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
Circle back.
I'm happy to circle back.
Circle back. Only just to hear you say.
Make some noise, Tip Turning Point, y'all. Make some noise. Man, this is awesome, man. Historic moment right now. Look, man, I'm gonna do one more called The Patriot. Y'all know The Patriot? This the one, man. Shout out to everybody that's out there fighting on the front lines and just love this country, man. I'm a veteran, you know. And this song represents all of that in one. So put y'all hands together. Come on, like this. There y'all go. A little bit louder. Hey, y'all can get out y'all seats too now. Y'all ready?
Check. Tens of thousands on my right, thousands by my side. War between good and evil, watching our fists collide. Battle for our freedom now, to the streets we ride. Flags waving all around, pages full of pride. This is where we make a stand, no more give or take. March around the Capitol, storm the city gates. Putting pressure on their necks until the truth breaks. All walls of corruption, take out all the snakes. Star Spangled Banner got it playing loud and proud. People from all walks of life filling up the crowd. Defend the Constitution, many warriors survive. Casting down any among us who have bucked and cowed. Enough for tyranny, we come to take our country back. For all citizens, white, red, brown, or black. Return her to a form of glory, fix that bloody crack on the crown. Fetch your gown, it's going down.
Come on, hands together, y'all. Yeah. I got something on ladies, y'all say it back with. Come on, y'all ready? Never back down, y'all. Never back down. Never back down, yeah. Okay, we're gonna end this with you. Y'all ready? When I say freedom, y'all say freedom. Can we do that? Freedom. 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 Thank you, Turning Point. It's been a blessing, man. Thank y'all.
Topher! 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 Quickly before we head out, can you tell people a little bit more of a background of that song, The Patriot, that they just heard, which was #1 on the Billboard charts, by the way, too.
Yeah, man, so The Patriot is inspired by what I saw when I was doing the last election. So I was going around traveling, seeing things first person. What I saw was a lot of frustrated people.
Yeah.
Not able to tell their story, and it was really coming from a genuine spot.
Yeah.
So I said, man, and the first few words comes from scripture.
Yep.
You know, 1,000 may fall by my right, 10,000 on my right hand, but it would not come near my dwelling. Sorry. And that's what starts it out. So a lot of people don't know that. So I started with the word of God.
Well, that's probably where we should start in general.
Yeah. Just in general, you know. And I felt that was very powerful in that message itself. And man, like I said, the Marine rapper hopped on it. It's produced by another veteran, Killer Vic Beats, and it just came together, man. Shout out to TikTok for making it happen. You know, the one good thing.
The one good thing TikTok did. Thank you.
TikTok. But yeah, it went #1. My biggest song to this day, man. And I'm just glad. Like I said, as a veteran, you go out here and do your thing, and I love what this country represents, and I'm here to show the progress. Because a lot of people think like, what?
Last take here before we go.
Yeah. How far has America came? I was like, looking at it, you know. I'm standing here with the #1 billboards. I can be patriotic. I can do what I want, talk about what I want. Here we are. So,
let's go. Topher, one more time. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily, powered by Turning Point USA. Today's April 19th, 2022, Anno Domini. Today's top headlines: a federal judge has struck down the CDC's mask mandate, finally, for airplanes and public transportation. Next, BLM protesters are back and demanding justice in Grand Rapids for the killing of Patrick. We're going to talk about that. Third, the Elon Musk Twitter saga continues, and he might be getting partners in. And finally, the lovely Taylor Lorenz has PTSD, she claims, from online bullying, yet she is threatening to expose private citizens and the woman behind the Libs of TikTok account. All this and more ahead, Human Events Daily.
Masking has been a divisive issue in this country, but COVID is a killer in red states and blue states alike. So I encourage you all to wear a mask. Encourage your family and friends to do the same. It's one of the easiest things we can do that will make a huge difference and to save lives.
Be Patriot. Wear a mask.
Wearing a mask is not a political statement. It's a scientific imperative. It's a point of patriotic pride, so we can pull our country out of this god-awful spiral we're in. And it's a testament to the values we were taught by our families and by our faiths. Love thy neighbor.
Well, out of the Hill, a federal judge in Florida on Monday struck down the CDC's mask mandate for travel on buses, planes, and trains in the United States. You know, there actually wasn't a mandate for automobiles, yet you see people to this day, and I see them all around in Washington, D.C., in their automobiles by themselves wearing masks. I'll see them out with their children. You also see people out, by the way, sometimes where the parents aren't masked and the kids are. I'd like to know exactly what the pathology is there that we're dealing with when you would not wear a mask yourself, but you'd force your child to wear a mask. And what are you telling those kids in order to get them to keep that mask on? I don't want to think about that. And I don't want to think about the fact that for 2 years, We've been forcing people to do this. Well, on airplanes, it's finally off. There were viral videos going around all day yesterday talking about this. People just cheering. You know, obviously, right side of history. You don't need. Look, I'm fine with masks being optional, right? So I used to live in China, right? I talk about it all the time. But also spent a lot of time in Japan and South Korea with the Navy. One thing that you do notice over there is they do have this idea of a mask culture for illness. What does that mean, right? Well, if you're feeling sick or if you're worried about, you know, colds going around, you can throw one on. You can throw one on and there's no questions asked, and it's not a big deal. I think that's fine. I think it's totally fine that if somebody chooses to do that, then they're more than welcome to do so. If you're in an enclosed space, if you're traveling, mass transit, look, I think airports are filthy to begin with. I don't want to spend as much time in airports as I have to. I want to spend as little time as possible in an airport, right? They're filthy. People are always in a bad mood, right? They're disgusting. And you get treated like cattle, and you just do, right? I'm old enough to remember what flying was like before 9/11, and it wasn't like this. It was absolutely not like this. Now, if you want that kind of service, you got to fly private, right? Because when you're going through TSA, when you're going through everything else, you're not treated like a person. You're treated like a unit. And the airlines, you know, God forbid, they actually treat their customers like they're customers, right? You know, you don't have to be bumped off. We've been bumped off a flight, by the way, with the baby. Literally bumped off a flight when we had both of our children standing there with our baby, door shut in the face, right? Airline travel in this country is abysmal. It is awful. It sucks. Everything about it is terrible. And we as Americans should demand better, and we deserve better. So finally, we're getting a little bit of pushback on this, that after 2 years, and by the way, I know some of you are out there that were still putting your mask on in the airports, even though people weren't actually enforcing it in the airports. I know you're out there, but you got to be careful too, because there are people out there that don't want to take the mask off. They're worried that you're going to be trapped in a flying coffin, surrounded by these toxic plague spreaders, taking their masks off, smiling about it. That's courtesy of G Prime. Hat tip to him. But understand, you need to be putting on endurance. You need to be putting on speed. You might have to run from 5 or 6 of these people at a time, especially if you shop at Whole Foods. Avoid Whole Foods and Trader Joe's completely. The judge in this case, Catherine Kimball Mizell. Now, they're going after her because she's only 35. Only 35, they say. Doesn't matter her resume, doesn't matter her experience, but here's a woman who's standing up and actually doing the right thing for our country. Massive legal win, by the way, saying the CDC does not have and did not have the legal authority to put this mandate in place to begin with. This is someone, Catherine Kimball Mizell, the Honorable KKM. I hope to see you someday on the bench of the United States Supreme Court. So the shooting death of Patrick Lyoya. Now, we've seen the videos on this, and it is a harrowing video. It's a terrible video. When you watch this thing, it's crazy to me because the whole thing starts. Now, you may have seen, so Ben Crump, right? He's this lawyer out there, civil rights lawyer. He's basically the BLM lawyer. He goes and defends everyone in these cases. Gets massive, tens of millions of dollars in settlements from the cities in many of these cases. Remember, he got the civil settlement for the George Floyd case even before the Chauvin trial had actually got underway. The city had already made that settlement over in Minnesota. And so you had a situation where the jury already knew that the city had settled prior to Chauvin actually being put on trial. Chauvin is currently being held, and also, not only that, not even given a public defender, right? He's not even being given a public defender. He's being denied that right now as he files for his appeal. But to get into this case, Patrick Lyoya gets pulled over April 4th in the city of Grand Rapids, Michigan, over a ticket violation or a plate violation. His license plate has some issue with it. There's a bad plate. The cop says there's an issue with the registration. They run it. Doesn't match the car that he's driving. Cop's trying to figure out what's going on. Lyoya gets out of the car while the cop is running the plate. Yeah, don't do that. All right, that's problem number one. Don't do that. My father taught me, and I would highly encourage everyone out there, if you're watching this, if you got kids, I'm going to teach this to my kids, 10 and 2. All right, 10 and 2. Keep your hands at 10 and 2. And when the cop comes up, what do you say? You say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Just yes him to death, right? Yes him to death. If there's an issue, you fight it in court. You beat them in court. Take their badge, whatever it is. But you want to get out of that interaction as politely and quickly as possible. So you keep your hands at 10 and 2 unless you're specifically asked to reach for something or go get something. It's not what Patrick Lyoya does. He gets out of the car. Cop asks him to go back in. He doesn't. Then he starts asking him questions about the car, about the license, about the registration. It doesn't answer. There may be some language barrier issues if you see the video. And he starts to get to the point where he starts resisting. Gets resistant to the officer. The officer then moves to detain him. He resists. Moves to detain. Resists. Moves to arrest. Resists. Becomes violent. Scuffle ensues. They go down on the ground. The officer pulls out his taser. The officer fires the taser. Taser misses. They often do. Then Lyoya gets hold, both hands, on that taser and actually takes control of the taser from the officer. Now, you may not know this about taser guns, but they have the ability to operate in dry stun mode. So, yes, of course, we all know they have the needles so that you can use that from a standoff position. But if those miss, you can still hold the taser to someone's at contact, and it still works as a stun gun, right? So at that point, he has become armed. And I hear this in the media, and I saw Attorney Ben Crump saying this. He was unarmed. Not true. He was armed because he armed himself with the officer's taser. Don't attack police officers. Don't violently arrest and then steal their taser guns, because now the officer is trained to treat you as an active threat to life and limb. That's the issue here. That's 100% the issue. And I get people can say, oh, well, why didn't you just let him run away? Why didn't he just not stop? He could have done a lot of things, right? He could have done a whole lot of things different, but we live in the real world. And what happened is this person stole the officer's weapon and then became armed with that weapon and had every intent in the world, obviously, to use it on that officer. And that's the way a jury's going to look at it. And so if charges are brought, and we haven't seen charges brought yet, but if they are, and the officer hasn't been named yet, though people do think they've just online that they've discovered his identity, here's how it's going to play out. And I'm telling you, that's what the law says, and that's how it's going to play out, because that's the way the law is written. We can't have a situation where this is going on. Don't do that. Don't play those games. 10 and 2, yes, sir. 10 and 2, yes, sir. I get there's issues. I 100% get that, and I feel you. I feel exactly what you're saying when it comes to that. But at the same time, you beat him in court. But then when you see these riots and the protests of 2020, we have to remember that no one was ever prosecuted for these things. No one was ever prosecuted. None of the organizers, none of the instigators, none of the apparatus that caused the riots of 2020 was dismantled by any government anywhere in the country. Not any of the states, and certainly not the federal government. Bill Barr talked big game about the JTTFs getting involved. None of it ever came to fruition. And that means they can be activated whenever the Insta-mob is needed again.
And a good sign as to whether there is free speech is someone you don't like allowed to say something you don't like. And if that is the case, then we have free speech. And it's damn annoying when someone you don't like says something you don't like. That is a sign of a healthy, functioning free speech situation.
So that's Elon Musk as he continues this conversation and continues his effort to liberate the platform of Twitter. Now, I got into it with Peter Navarro when we did War Room. I think it was last Friday. And Navarro said, "Why bother? Why not just let Twitter die on the vine? And why don't we just build up platforms like Getter and some of these other things? Rumble's out there, of course, as an alternative to YouTube. Why not get involved with that? Isn't Twitter just, enemy territory? Isn't it just enemy-controlled, battle space?" And I said, look, any time that you can take territory and resources and institutions away from the other side, that's a victory. Liberate the institutions. This all started with the crazies not going to the ballot box, not even going to the courts in many cases, though it did end up that way. It started with the infiltration systemically of the institutions in this country by people with a far left, revolutionary, social reformist bent. That's what started. And so instead of people going into institutions that actually wanted to uphold society, you had people who wanted to destabilize society. And Twitter is one of those institutions. It became an institution. Social media in general, the Silicon Valley tech giants, certainly are an institution here in the United States, the same way Wall Street's an institution, the same way Hollywood's an institution, the same way that Washington, D.C. is an institution. Even if you don't think of it that way, that actually is how it operates here in the real world. Disney World is an institution, right? These are all institutions of our society. And what Musk is saying there is that to allow for freedom of speech allows for a healthier institution, which in turn creates a healthier society. If you don't like what somebody's saying, turn the channel. That was the world that people like Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Jack Dorsey, that's what they all grew up in. So we're seeing something now of an uprising of Gen X. And I've talked about that here on the show before. And that's really what's happening. So Elon Musk really believes in that. And he doesn't want to see a situation where you've got people sitting behind their computer screens deciding that it's up to them to determine who is allowed to say what speech can be permitted, what speech is promoted, as opposed to simply letting the chips fall where they may and actually have something that we used to call the marketplace of ideas. But of course, the powers that be are doing everything they can to stop Elon Musk from doing this. So what's he doing? From the Post-Millennial, Elon Musk is speaking to investors who could partner with him on Twitter in this new bid. So he's now reaching out to private equity firms, other investors, one of them named Silver Lake Partners, other investors to be able to potentially build this up. Egon Durbin is the co-CEO of Silver Lake, is a Twitter board member, and has also had previous dealings with Tesla and the SpaceX founder. We also know that Jack Dorsey, if you've been following Jack Dorsey's Twitter account lately, he was flaming CNN. He was talking about dysfunctions of the board, problems with Twitter. And look, I've always had a different read on Jack Dorsey than a lot of people. I always felt like it was a, kind of like a Frankenstein and his monster sort of situation, where it seemed to me that Dorsey wanted to create this technology to allow people to communicate. And that's pretty much it, right? An open source communications platform where people could share content in short. The original idea for Twitter, by the way, all the way back in 2006, was that it was just going to be an open chat room. That's it. Just a massive open chat room that anyone could join. And when you think about it, that's really what it is. That's why the character limit made sense, because it was a chat room. So Dorsey is realizing that this thing has gotten way far beyond anything that they talked about. And the one thing that I said to Navarro was that at some point, and Dorsey talked about this in 2019, Twitter could become a standard, an actual internet standard for communications rather than a platform. What does that mean? That means that all of these apps, Twitter, Truth Social, Getter, all the rest of them, you could actually sign up for whichever app you want and communicate to each other the same way that you can text somebody from an iPhone to an Android now. Think about that.
I've had to remove every single social tie. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad. You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating. and terrifying. It's horrifying. I'm so sorry. It's overwhelming. It's really hard.
Cry bully Taylor Lorenz. What to say about Taylor Lorenz? Attacking an anonymous account, Libs of TikTok, who only does one thing. Goes on to TikTok and posts material that people have openly posted to TikTok. That's it. That's literally it. I've never seen her harass anyone. I've never seen her call for anyone to be, anything violent, right? I've never heard anyone say go to their house. But that's not what Taylor Lorenz does. Taylor Lorenz is not, right? She is not a journalist. Or in some cases, she is a journalist, depending on how you look at that word. Personally, I consider the word journalist to be an insult. Taylor Lorenz is a regime propagandist. And in this case, she is participating in a harassment campaign that started a couple of days ago by Antifa. So over the weekend, Antifa accounts doxed Libs of TikTok. I heard about this over Easter weekend, and I said, that's horrible. Is she okay? Is everything going to be all right? She's done some media interviews before, so, we know a little bit about her. I've, in all my communication with her, I've never once asked her a name, never once asked her a personal business, because guess what? I don't care. I really don't care. It's immaterial. It's an account that aggregates stuff on TikTok. But the regime can't have that because TikTok is the new Tumblr. In the same way that you're hearing now people come out say, oh, Tumblr made me trans. Tumblr made me think that I had a mental disorder, right? Well, TikTok is the new Tumblr. And people are going on there and they're getting crazier and crazier and crazier by the minute. And all Libs of TikTok did was post it. Just post publicly available videos. And so, of course, here comes the Washington Post and here comes Taylor Lorenz to dox, to harass, to show up at the houses of family members of the woman behind Libs of TikTok and harass them on their own doorsteps. When I tell you we have regime media in this country and that we are living under a regime that controls the institutions, make no mistake, the Washington Post is an institution. You got people who are upset about Elon Musk wanting to buy Twitter. They say, oh, he's a billionaire. Well, guess who owns the Washington Post? It's Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, who's got connections with everybody in the world. Jeff Bezos, who has a rival, spaceship company to Elon Musk and all the rest of it. No issues with that, of course, though. No. But I don't remember Elon Musk ever trying to attack. So you've got two sides here, two billionaires, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Elon Musk is trying, he says, to empower social media users. Jeff Bezos and his propagandist Taylor Lorenz, they're trying to punish social media users. They're trying to create punitive damages against people who don't play on the right side of the aisle, people who don't follow the orders and do what they're told, people who become problems for the regime. That's who Jeff Bezos is going against. And that is all the time we have here. Human Events Daily. Remember our promise, our oath, our solemn vow to you: be good, be brief, be gone. Your homework for us: share this out with just one of your normie friends, and leave us your 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your politics. What do we talk about today? A federal judge striking down the CDC mask mandate for airplanes and public transportation. God bless that judge. We talked about the shooting of Patrick Leoya, and we got into the legal issues behind it. Elon Musk, the Twitter saga continues. And finally, Taylor Lorenz, the propagandist, trying to go after Libs of TikTok and shut her down. But before we go, it's time for today's history break. Today, all the way back, April 19th, 1775, Anno Domini, the shot heard round the world, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and the start of the American Revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
So we probably, let's go follow him. Yeah. Let's see what we can see. Oh, there we go. Hey, there we go, Sam. There you go. This is your difference. This is what Trump built. And then we swing around here. This is what Biden's building. Little sheds. little shanty sheds, welcome stations. Who do you trust? The people who have lied to you for the last 100 years in your political establishment, or your own two eyes that God gave you? Boom! There it is, your open border.
As we're coming back filming the invasion of our country, we're actually stopped by Border Patrol and law enforcement. They're bringing each one of us out of the vehicle with our hands above our head and behind our backs, guns drawn, like we're criminals.
You can see behind me, this is what's called the superhighway.
4 million people have fled their homes now in the weeks that followed Putin's invasion of Ukraine, many of them fleeing to Poland and other nearby European countries, while others are heading to the U.S. through the Mexican border, where it's easier to get it.
The slave traders of our day, open to America. The biggest tragedy in America is our open border. There is no nation without a border. There is no America without a delineation between America and any other nation.
It's really important that we understand as a people that this is changing our American way of life.
Well, it wasn't long ago, if you remember, the administration refused to call the situation at the border a crisis. Remember, instead they opted for the word challenge.
So the people who have time after time tried to destroy this nation are going all in by saying America shouldn't exist because our borders don't even exist. This is happening and it's leading to immense amounts of pain. We went and covered this pain and horror at the border. Child smugglers, human traffickers, rape trees, all manner of human slavery and suffering happening inside of Yuma, Arizona. Yuma, Arizona is where we went to in order to see the horrors with our own eyes.
Let's see what we can see.
Oh, there we go. Hey, there we go, Sam. There you go. Welcome to Benny on the Border. There we go. Do you want to know about open borders today? We got you. We've been out here for 10 minutes. While we were in Yuma, Arizona, in fact, multiple illegal criminal migrants wandered into our country and got really pissed off at us. Not nice looking hombres, quite frankly. We were a little bit worried and scared. Luckily, the Border Patrol treated us with kindness and helped us navigate around the border safely. They showed us some really perilous sights and explained to us how horrific it is to not have a wall on the border. We were scrolling through social media when we saw one of our favorite reporters, Ben Berkham from Real America's Voice, was apprehended at the exact same place that we were filming in Yuma, Arizona. Ben Berkham has been one of the best reporters out there on the border, and he has been telling true stories. So why is Ben Berkham in handcuffs? Why is he and his team and his producers and his cameramen put in cuffs exactly where we were filming by Border Patrol? What don't they want you to see? Ben Berkham joined Benny on the Block for a special interview in order to talk about the horrors that he experienced on the border and why he was apprehended for doing what we do every single week on this show. Go out into the street and tell real stories. We are so excited to be welcoming Ben Berkham to the show, who has been on the border and reported for Real America's Voice. He's been one of the only souls who dared cover the absolute atrocities occurring at our southern border. He joins us now. Ben, thank you for being on the program.
It's great to be with you, man.
We really couldn't believe when we saw this video, you yourself and your media team, presumably your cameramen and the people who are traveling with you, were arrested on the border. Can you explain this to our audience?
Well, just a clarification of classification. We were detained. We were never arrested. We were detained for about a half an hour on the southern border. What's ironic about this, we were actually exposing what was happening. There was a group of them. I've never seen this before. I went down. We're in the Yuma sector of the border. I've covered this area extensively, and we went to a place that I've been many times before, and we turned a corner where the wall ends, and I noticed this group of about 60 fighting age men just standing there. No border patrol, nobody around. We interviewed them. We spent about 45 minutes with them. I did a interview with Steve Bannon on War Room, and then we went on our way, and we continued to cover what was happening in that area. We went down to the trails where these guys are crossing over to show you the debris that's left behind, the environmental disaster that these open border policies are creating, and really to show you the whole picture. And on our way out, about 2 hours later, still having yet seen a Border Patrol agent, we were pinned in. They had closed a gate on us that remains open every time I've ever been there, and ultimately removed at gunpoint from our vehicle. As the illegal aliens, the 60 men, we actually were right back to the place where we began, were looking on, many of them with their cell phones out, reporting what was happening to us as they were basically just allowed to mingle and wander into America.
So what were they trying to stop you from covering? What are some of the things that you have seen with your own two eyes that the corporate press can't cover because they don't get close enough to do it? Again, the New York Times is covering this from a building in Manhattan, right? They don't have a reporter on the border. What are you seeing? What are the realities?
Well, basically, our borders are controlled by the cartels. I mean, that is clear at this point. We no longer have sovereign borders. If you look at Mexico, Mexico has been controlled by the cartels for years. And now we're starting to see that influence on the U.S. side. And we're seeing it through the takeover of many media outlets. Many of them have been corrupted. We see that through the corruption of many politicians. And all you have to do is ask the question, why? Who are the representatives, the so-called politicians that are supporting open borders? The only people that would support open borders support the cartels. These guys know it. If you're in federal office, you know that all you're doing is aiding and abetting the cartels.
Goodness. Ben, we've brought our show down to that Yuma sector. I've only been to the actual border once. Been to that Yuma sector. We went around with Border Patrol. That's why we were particularly shocked at your story. It's really a story that's told 100,000 times a day, right? When people try and cross the border, and our underfunded DHS and our Border Patrol desperately try and maintain order, and they just can't. You're friends with Border Patrol. What do these Border Patrol agents want? What do they want? And they don't wantingly, the vast majority of them, I have to assume, are clean cops. They don't want to see this country invaded. They would wish to stop the cartels. That's presumably why they signed up to do this job. So what do the agents on the border need? What are they crying out for? What are they asking the Biden administration for, and why aren't they being heard?
Well, one of the most heartbreaking facts about this invasion is the statistics of suicide among Border Patrol.
Wow.
The morale is as low as it's ever been. I talk to these guys, and oftentimes off the record, off the camera, they have tears in their eyes. And these guys are many a times former veterans that served our country overseas, that sometimes, were have friends and family members that paid the ultimate sacrifice, and they're being asked to break their oath.
Thank you, Ben, so much for being on the program, for your work. It is truly the most important work we think in the country, and in a different era and in a just era, you would be winning a Pulitzer right now, and you and your detainment would be the #1 story in the country. But sadly, we don't live in a just world, but you are making it better. Thank you, Ben.
It's an honor to be with you. Appreciate you.
Hey, it's Benny Johnson here, Turning Point USA's Chief Creative Officer. If you like this video you just watched, be sure to subscribe to the official Turning Point USA channel and never miss an episode. See you guys next week.
I love relatable TikToks. We will be talking about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's shockingly bigoted tweet towards Christians on Easter Sunday, the weird silence about what's happening in Shanghai, and the celebrity kid who has become BFFs with Northwest. Because we're coming off a holiday weekend, there aren't a ton of stories today, so the show itself is pretty much a Hot Take Tuesday. But to make up for that, at the end, I will share some fun tidbits like book recommendations of stuff I've been liking lately, and the juicy part, what I found in my boyfriend's car that has me wondering if it is a cause for concern. Hint, it's something that belongs to a girl and not me. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics.
Hot Take Tuesday.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was really beside herself when Christians on Easter Sunday took it upon themselves to worship in the air on a flight. Here's the clip if you missed it. She wrote, I think my family and I should have a prayer session next time I'm on a plane. How do you think it will end? Number one, it's literally Easter Sunday, okay? That's why those passengers were worshiping. It's not like that's a regular occurrence. I guess I would ask you, Ilhan, what would happen to Christians in your home country of Somalia if they prayed in public? Spoiler alert, they'd be killed.
These things always end up in a bloody mess.
Something else I want to point out today, you know how everyone and their mother has been like, pray for Ukraine, we love Ukraine, stand with Ukraine. I mean, every company, brand, celebrity, you name it, has been posting nonstop about Ukraine, right? They're even posting different GoFundMe campaigns to help the people over there. And of course, while tragedy is happening to the people in Ukraine, there is also tragedy filling the streets of Shanghai. Children are being rounded up and taken from their parents if they test positive for the you-know-what. Pets are being publicly killed. People are going without food for so long that many are just jumping to their deaths from their apartments. And all because the Chinese Communist government is cracking down on a virus that has a 99.9% survival rate and one that people have been living with for over 2 years now. And yet, I haven't seen any bloggers or brands I follow posting anything about standing with Shanghai or sharing links to help the people there. Not one celebrity has said anything. And that's when it hits you. When the media, Hollywood, and corporations are all on the same page defending justice for something like Ukraine or Black Lives Matter Inc., but nothing else, it's performative, fake philanthropy.
Nobody believes that, bro.
Jessica Simpson recently shared that her daughter Maxwell has become super close friends with Northwest. Jessica's husband recently coached a kids basketball team that both girls were a part of, and since they live in the same neighborhood as well, they got close. Ever since that video of North being babysat by JoJo Siwa though, I think that girl is wild.
That is how you do it. Looking fabulous. I live for this. Fabulous.
I'm sure the Pearl Clutchers who still watch the show for some reason would lose their minds over the types of books I like to read. But for those of you who are OG cute conservatives, you know I like dark psychological thrillers. So, there are 2 books I've read lately that I liked and I want to tell you about, but fair warning, these are only for people with the absolute strongest stomachs who enjoy reading books with extremely dark subject matter. I like effed up books, okay, to put it bluntly. So that gives you an idea of where these books fall because they are 2 of the darkest I've ever read.
I got scared. I dropped my Hot Pocket.
The first one is called My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. It's a fiction novel that details the grooming relationship between a 15-year-old high school girl and her teacher. She spares zero detail, and at times it's gonna make you feel sick. But what I loved about this book is that the victim doesn't always connect with the fact that she's a victim. She often drifts between, was my teacher a pedophile or was I in love with him? And was it consensual? You kind of get to see this main character struggle throughout her adult life trying to figure out if she was abused or not. And I have never really read a book that explores this narrative that some victims of sexual abuse go through. The book became an instant bestseller. It was also dubbed one of the most controversial books of 2020.
Christine, I am
shooketh. The second book I want to tell you about is one that I'm currently reading and really liking. It explores many of the same dark themes as My Dark Vanessa, like sexual abuse and pedophilia, but this one also involves a lot of incest. Yo, look, I told you I gravitate towards dark thrillers. It's called The Crow Girl by Eric Axelson, and it's actually what's called a Swedish thriller noir, I think. It's an international bestseller and it's been translated into English. So far, it definitely sticks out as one of the most disturbing books I've ever read. It starts off with several murdered young boys popping up all over Stockholm and then turns into this almost super wealthy Epstein-level pedophile ring drama. So far, so good.
Sometimes I wonder what it would be like for everything inside me that's denied and unknown to be revealed. But I'll never know. I live my life in hiding. My survival depends on it.
Oh, come on, relax. I'm curious if any of you are into my type of books or if you're like, stay away from me, you are the freak of the week.
Get out of here, Klaus. Shoot. Shoot, clown.
All right, I have a really juicy personal story for you to weigh in on. I gotta get comfortable. First, to answer your question, if you missed last Friday's episode, my boyfriend and I were debating on going to the sunrise service for Easter. Long story short, the service was at 5:30 a.m. and he lives 45 minutes away from that church, so we opted for the 10:30 instead. Because mama ain't waking up at 3 a.m., even for Jesus.
Everybody say Jesus, keep it going. Bibles, hymns, church, Jesus. I read my Bible to get my Jesus.
Sunday school, I praise my
Jesus.
Singing in the choir, I'm singing for Jesus.
I raise my hands, I'm reaching for Jesus. I pray all day to thank my Lord Jesus. I got red hair, but I still worship Jesus. Jesus.
Now, this is the thing that happened that I need your opinion on. This last weekend, I was helping my boyfriend move into a new place. So we're bringing in stuff from his car, and I noticed a round metal orange hairbrush that had fallen out onto the floor of his car. And I looked at him and I said, whose hairbrush is this? And he was like, it's not yours? I said, no, I've never owned that brush in my life. It's definitely not mine. So we went into the spiel about how it was in his bathroom drawers, allegedly at the place that he lived before. He assumed it was mine, so he packed it and then he brought it to his new place. And when I told him it wasn't mine, his excuse was that it must have been left in his bathroom drawer from a previous tenant and he never noticed it. And he also said that I was the only girl to ever visit him since he lived in California. So it isn't some other girl that he used to date or something before me. My question is, do you buy it or should I be concerned?
Larry cries out, oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where, 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 oh, where is my hairbrush?
Dude, the detransitioner episode of The Spillover has done so well. You guys loved it. It was a super controversial one to do, so I'm glad that it paid off and you really enjoyed it. Sorry that this episode was short today. I know you hate that, but say a prayer that there will be a lot more pop culture news to discuss tomorrow. Tap the heart or the thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Tell me in the comments if you think that I should be concerned about the hairbrush I found in Nick's car. DM this episode to your one friend who gives the best advice. Ask them to weigh in too, and then hit the save button. Politics is back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics.
Clearly, Politics is best served visually, but you can also listen to Politics if you just want the audio. Subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, and more. Also, make sure that if you are listening to the podcast version, you leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget, subscribe to Politics on YouTube.